Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. This episode is being recorded on 11/21/25. Uh, I now open this circle to true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you and nourish you and bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda in order that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent and mischievous type things to be swept away so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say so be it.
And so be it. This is a Q&A, folks. This is going to be slightly more unusual. I don't really have a list of questions. There was really one question, and the rest is going to be channeling. And this is actually, I'm going to read the affirmation blessing. You guys are going to find this one funny. This was by the guy who played Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens. He died, I believe it was the last year, 2 years ago. But we look right here. It is, it was July 30th, 2023. He was 70. I didn't even realize he was that old when he passed. I really didn't. So this is to laugh and to make people laugh is the greatest gift of them all, minus any vices, of course. And then, of course, when I see A-H-H-A, that's him going, hey, like Pee-wee. So, and that's channeling Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. So, I found that funny because I used to watch that as a kid, and I was like, why in the holy hell is Pee Wee Herman paying me a visit? Then I asked him, and you can read this question, Joanna.
Paul, were you targeted? Is this why and how you got cancer?
Yeah, I kind of had this feeling, and so he went into this. As I said, through vice, they got me. Sex addiction mostly, but mind control made me less secretive when in fact I should have been way more secretive with my habits, quote unquote. Now, as for the cancer, yes, they did indeed target me because of things I saw and knew. For instance, during the time of Pee-wee's height and fame, even a bit after, I did see some of the ritualistic crap goings on, some of which was contract signing into the Great Pyramid of Doom. That's when people sign contracts with music, the music industry, and all this other stuff, and it's a religion, not capitalism. It's towards Baal and other demigods. You know that part, guys. He's like, I can't even do his voice. But in all seriousness, Chris, this made it so that oh no, I really screwed that up, didn't I? Chris, this made it so that my soul remembers far more than I wish, and far less than humanity should know. To all looking into this, please know that the personas that you make ultimately become who you are in life as well as in death, and a lie told quickly becomes the truth if spoken enough. This is all I have for you now, Chris, my friend. Laugh always and never let them get you. And let's see what else I said. Thank you, Paul, for your presence as well as your warning. You are much appreciated by me. And he's like, he did his Pee-wee thing, and then he said goodbye, and that's where he left. But then he added, let's see, okay, that's the second guess. But I thought that was actually quite interesting. Little brief note, I will brief note. Yeah, I didn't realize he was 70, folks. I thought he was younger than that. But yeah, he was born August 27th, 1952. He's a year younger than my father. And died July 30th, 2023 at 70. Yeah, in Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, Los Angeles. Yeah, so and I find it interesting that he was born in Peekskill. It's almost like saying Pee-wee, New York. So,
Excuse me.
Now, what got me was this led me to a video that I was watching. There was this lady that was bringing in Michael Jackson, so I kind of knew. Kind of knew where Pee-wee came from because Michael Jackson said he was going to help bring other people through at some point. And I never expected Pee-wee guys. That was the last person I expect today. For at least 2 hours, I was hearing in my head, I know who you are, but what am I? Kept hearing that in my head. I'm like, really? What's this? And here we are. So now in the video, it was Michael Jackson then referencing Princess Diana. This leads me to guess two. So this one was actually also a surprise. Pee Wee was the weirder surprise. Diana was more the serious surprise. So, and this goes to, she was born July 1st, 1961, died August 31st, 1997. And I started, you think you know a particular topic, and Google basically says the propaganda tagline. I want to tell you right now. This is what the AI overview basically said right here. Where is the? Okay. Okay, I gotta find it again. Oh, it's this page. All right. Yeah. I looked up her death and AI overview. Princess Diana died from injuries sustained in a car crash in Paris on August 31st, 97. The crash, which also killed her partner Dodi Fayed and the chauffeur Henry Paul, was a result of the driver's excessive speed and intoxication, compounded by the car being pursued by the paparazzi. Her death was attributed to a ruptured pulmonary vein and a massive internal hemorrhage from the high-speed collision with a pillar in the Ponte de Leon tunnel. And let's see, there was one bit here I wanted to say. I like how, the AI overview of all the things here. First, they say excessive speed, impaired driving. It said that pursuit of paparazzi. But the thing they add to the list, they weren't wearing their seatbelts. So that actually, I was like, really? Okay, like that. Okay, you put that on the list. Crash details. The car lost control inside the Ponte Ilma, I can't pronounce that, tunnel, struck a pillar and then a wall. Dodi Fayed and the driver were pronounced dead at the scene. Diana was critically injured and was taken to the hospital where she later died. Trevor Rees-Jones' bodyguard was the sole survivor. An official verdict, official investigations and inquests including Operation Paget concluded that the crash was an accident caused by the gross negligence of the driver and pursuing paparazzi. Now, I looked over at what her last words were. And this was interesting, and I'll get to the little channel in a second, then we'll get to the rest of this. Okay. Princess Diana's last words were, "My God, what has happened?" Said to a French firefighter, Xavier Gourmelin. I want to think that's Gourmelin. Okay. Who was one of the first responders at the crash scene. The firefighter said that he was holding her hand and reassuring her before she went into cardiac arrest shortly after he heard her speak. And there was one more set of words here. Let's see. And I didn't realize she didn't have a formal title either. That was stripped of her when she divorced Prince Charles. And was she conscious after the crash? Yes, she was. And there was one more set of words here. Let me see here. Sorry, it got lost to me here. Come on. And I cannot find it now. It was basically whenever she spotted these photographers that they said that her words were, some of her words were, "Oh my God, get away from me," stuff like that. She was screaming it. So, but here, yeah, I had it up, and of course things are missing now. So, now here is what she had to say. She commented after Pee Wee had just been here. "I was murdered, Chris. It was the family that murdered me." And she was pretty pissed off when she said this. "Please know that the reason was simple. Let's just say that it had to do with the naked child that was trying to escape from Buckingham Palace that they accused of breaking in. Granted, that happened after, but she was using an example. I saw, therefore I died. Simple as that." And she was angry and sad at this. I said, "I'm sorry this happened. Are you willing to channel later to tell your story?" She goes, "You bet, Chris. Right alongside Paul." Good. Talk to you later on. And that's where this conversation ended. But the fact that it went from one end of the spectrum, it's seemingly, I want to say seemingly one end of the spectrum to the other. People think, oh, Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee's Playhouse, Princess Diana. What do these things have in common? It's the same group of assholes that are actually causing all of this damage. The same ones that murdered Michael Jackson, the same ones that are tapping into these ancient demigods, like what Michael Jackson said in the previous Q&A. It's across time. And it's the same areas of the world, it's just a different area, same shit, different day. So it's this religion that's out there, from the music and film industry to what happened to Princess Diana and the royal family. So I find this interesting, that people would see these as completely separate ideas. Why Pee Wee? Why Diana? It's the same idea. So they wanted to bring across that this is the same thing. It was just somebody else's perspective as to how they lived through that. So, which I find interesting enough. But I believe there was one more thing before I go into. I want to make sure my brain remembers these details as I keep forgetting them. All right. All right. There we are. Joanna, did you want to add anything to this?
No, we'll just have conversation and see what they want to discuss today. Again, we've been on a trend, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of these celebrities, which in truth, I don't think you or I ever expected to be going down this road.
No.
But, regarding their experiences, I mean, it kind of makes sense. We've been talking about trying to give a bigger picture, a bigger historical picture, and what's going on again with these demigods and these people that came about in ancient times that are still here,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they began to be worshipped, and what does that actually mean. And so I guess it would make sense that somehow this information needs to get out in order for it to come about, and hopefully there will be positive changes. But in all honesty, I know you didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to see these particular type of channelings, coming through from people that want to make their information known. I am kind of surprised by it all. So
Yeah, and I'm less surprised by Diana. I was more surprised by Pee Wee. Okay, that's the one I was surprised with right there.
because again, I guess what my curiosity is, so I can pre-ask a question again with them, is, where's the line? Because there supposedly are good people in these industries. It's not just the badness.
It's not all this.
So
It's
the
not
question
completely
is,
blanket.
again, where's the line? And then, again, and it seems sometimes that maybe somebody wouldn't have been involved in something, but they accidentally saw something.
Yeah, they
which is what
stumbled
you
on
said.
to things like what
Yeah.
James Dean said. He stumbled on this stuff, and then he was murdered when he told that to
Right.
us.
So
yeah.
again, so it's not everybody. I am curious their perspective on where's that line of where you have to be inducted into it versus, you
Coming across it.
Yeah, where is that at? But again, we definitely want to say that, it's certainly not everybody in all of these industries.
And I know you guys out there that are in the supposed conspiracy theory category, and I hate even using that, and the disclosure category, I hate using that other term. I know everybody is trying to think that and when they're there, they're actually all involved in it. Yes, I've been told that some of the really higher ups, if you got really famous, really uber famous, you signed a contract somewhere. Even Michael Jackson said that. But not every single component or every cog in this wheel realizes they are, or were they part of. So Pee Wee stumbled onto it almost by accident.
And we'll hear him talk about that more. But again, it's just like everything else, the spiritual pursuits in religion. There are good people. There are good people in there trying to do good works, as well as darkness that's infiltrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Paul, I would assume you're going first. Yeah. All right. Give me a moment. Cool. Yeah, when I heard I know you are, but what am I thought Isaac had made his triumphant return and somehow he was doing the Pee Wee routine. No, it was actually Pee Wee this time. So it's like, hey, they're so damn similar that, and that's which I found interesting. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, is it Isaac? No, it's actually Pee Wee. Okay. So, okay. Paul, I know I called you Pee Wee, but your name is Paul. So, uh, okay. Yeah. You're welcome to him, and Paul. I know there's some other observers out there that don't want you talking, but uh, excuse my abruptness. I I shouldn't say had to come in. Michael Jackson actually directed me this direction. uh, him and directed Princess Diana this way. And as he said, he's completely correct. Two different perspectives on the same subject. I never expected this, though I'm literally as Michael is too. I was guilty of our vices, and they went out of control. If you give them any thing to hit you with, they definitely most certainly will. You remember my scandal, so it took me years to even show my face in public again. After that, one of my friends egged me on to do this and indulged and whispered in my ear, indulged my vices. And of course, after a while, you go, why not? But I will say, there was some mind control in there, and not as bad as Michael Jackson, mind you. But it wasn't about children this time. It was about just pornography and the entanglements therein. And also the fact that I was doing a children's show, they ostracized me after that and labeled me with some of that stuff. Now, it really wasn't this. It was by the same group of narcissists and satanic worshipers, of course. But in this, the what I saw around me, some of the how can I say it? When I got hired for the job of Pee Wee's Playhouse. Yes, did I have fun with this? Oh, yes. We had a ball. And when Lawrence Fishburne came into it, we had a ball. Big time. Old Cowboy Curtis and them. But, also the puppeteers, we all sorts of fun. But little did I know, there was a dark side to this. And I bet all of you are thinking, the darker side of Pee Wee's Playhouse. Well, yes, in fact. Not necessarily the show or some of the people in it. It was the after party. You see those, so you see those scandalous shows, the after party of this. Yeah, it's like that, except more dramatic and more concisely dark. From drug use to sex to all in between. And then the contract signing came in. And Michael was nice enough to show him via a friend a video of what happens when you sign the contracts with Hollywood or any sort of thing that you become extremely famous, a household name. Hey, Pee Wee Herman, yeah. Who doesn't know that name? I actually got the idea, and he read this earlier, I guided him to this, from a partner of mine who acted a little like this, little goofy, little childlike. And you see the theme, Michael Jackson loved childlike themes as well. Granted, my mind control didn't go as far as his. But when you create a character, and I want to make this perfectly clear, when you create a character, does that when you wear a mask, does that not become you after a while? This is where actors have a hard time separating and add the mind control into the mix. You are that mask. You are forever changed by it. Kind of like in the Twilight Zone, where those people were ugly inside, and that person put that ugly mask on them, and that was their face afterwards. He was trying to make them see themselves with a magical spell. Think of this. But even though I created the character and I loved doing it, I had my darker vices. Then worlds collided. And then the thing that I actually loved doing disappeared. But they still had that sword of Damocles over my head. I knew to go to ground. I knew to be private of what I should have done before. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm here to inform that the darker side of thing, when they set me up with that, when they whispered in my ear, it was to indulge my habits and my curiosities and my vices. But because I saw, how can I put this? Saw not only women being abused, but I heard of parties after parties and a passing ear to the wall. I was not heavily involved in it, but they didn't want to take a chance that I would be a white knight of some kind, given the name that I had just attained, and I did not know that I had signed a contract with their religious doctrine. I know this is probably not the conversation you thought Pee Wee Herman was going to have with you, but sure enough, here I am. So, you have questions for me?
Well, you just said something very interesting because you just said when you signed the contract, you had no idea what you were really signing, that it wasn't like in your face.
No, it's not.
And
No.
so, do you want to talk a little bit about that so people can get a better understanding?
Yes.
Because again, it sounds like, and you can speak to this, that yes, you had some vices, but you weren't actively trying to harm children.
No.
You weren't actively trying to harm women.
No.
You weren't actively doing anything like that. You liked pornography.
Yeah.
You like taking risky things at times, I guess thrilling, but you weren't actively involved in that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. However, you were approached because of the concept you're saying about your name becoming household.
Yes. See,
So what did your contract look like?
okay. Michael's was similar, where there was a pyramidal shape on the contracts. People in the lower levels think it's just letterhead, like a pyramid shape or some kind of spiral or something of that nature. They're sometimes different depending on the level, but they all mean the same. Like the child trafficking one is that weird spiral pyramid triangle shape and all of those things. FBI database has it. And the raggedy looking one is more little children, things of that nature. But with this, I didn't realize the religion, the cult that was in place. But when you sign a contract, this is why he freaked out years ago. That when he was signing receipts and he felt like he had to revoke it over and over again, this was a message that he was being given. Because of the fact that, yes, on some level, some of the consent is for military and aliens to abduct you. They don't particularly do that particular one anymore with the signing of the receipts. That's old hat. He was just remembering something of an echo of the past. With this, it's when you sign a contract on a TV show, whatnot, there is a clause with the certain symbols. Those are part of the contract. Think Faustian, think Mephistopheles, things of that nature. The jinn contract. There's jinn heavily involved in this as well. Well, what happens is when you sign this, yes, they always say, well, now you're signing your life away. What do you think they're saying? This is a Faustian pact. Nobody thinks of this because they're not thinking old world religion. They're thinking, oh boy, I'm going to either be famous or have a TV show or live my passion. The reason he was told that all of them past a certain tier are involved, it's not that they knowingly are, but they've signed this. So therefore, if they're followed for a little while by their bosses, if they're convinced to go into their habits and their vices, and also if they can't get you that way, they'll try to get a picture of you in some compromising position or try to get you to consent, like, oh, take this picture, close your eyes, and we'll put a blindfold and a weird hat on you and go bleh in the background or something. No. The Masons do these things, the upper level, I should say, some of them, a Masonic, demonic Masonic, I should say. There's two areas. Satanic, Luciferian, the demigod cult, all of these. Kabbalists. They do this. Some they say it's an innocent joke. No. If they can't find anything on you, they probably won't hire you. But like the Russell Brands and the Michael Jacksons, all this, they've programmed something in there that's you would say it's like a General Order 66, where they bring it out after a while. With me, it wasn't like that, but since I signed that, they were able to attach cords. They were able to mind control with the V2K, all those things. That had been coming around in 1980. Well into that, I was doing Pee-wee's Playhouse. So, mid 80s, early 90s, that nature. But this, I did not realize how strong this was. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to say it's irrefutable, that kind of thing. What I am trying to say is this: watch your thoughts. Watch your mind and emotions. Watch what's around you. Watch what they're trying to get you to do. Watch this very heavily, even if there's positive aspects in there. The negative aspects are, whom do you serve? You see, whom do you really serve? Yourself? Others? Or whom have you contracted with to become a mask, even if it's your own creation, an alter even. Alter ego. They say alter ego. Hey, Pee-wee. Alter ego. Do you think I was hey in my actual life? No. But it bled through into my actual life. Anybody ever saw me, it's like, hey, it's Pee-wee. Where's your red bike? Things like that. I didn't care, mind you. But that persona, the more people aimed that thought form as well, that topo or that egregor, as he would say, sometimes a religious focus, again, creates an egregor. Things of this nature. Of course, the masks we wear, do they not become us? And this is a very important topic. I will forever be, even in spirit. He even saw me earlier as the gray suit, red tie, earlier. And I'm actually kind of okay with that. What I am not okay with is what happened in the background with these contracts, the lower levels, when you sign on to go do something, anything. Either they get you with that first contract, or they have somebody give you another longer one that happens to be that very contract. You may not start out, but they're like, okay, maybe we can get this person. Sometimes women, of course they will pick women above any others, they see them as more the sacrificial lamb in cases, or in cases that they're not, they turn them into monsters. And not all of them, again, there are a lot of unknowing ones, but they are all bound into the same altar. And I mean either sacrificial altar or the service and servitude thereof. So I just wanted to make that clear.
So again, for after you signed the contracts, I'm assuming coming along with that are handlers and different people.
Oh, yes, handlers of
You know what I mean, that are going to try to exploit your vices. But I guess for me,
handler got me to go to that theater that night, boy. So
yeah. So this is what I'm trying to figure out in your particular case, because again, comparatively, what you're actually saying is that it didn't seem like from you personally they got much.
No.
Comparatively to other
they did
people.
Not, no.
So from your perspective now, because you wouldn't have known this when you were here alive, were they disappointed with what was that they weren't able to get as much from you? I mean, or what was it? I mean, when you signed those contracts, you did become a household name. Okay, what did they get from all of that?
Shame for me. I was more embarrassed than anything else. And it's just like, you know how in your Matrix 4 movie where they had a handler program that was trying to keep Neo in his vice circles and being drunk and such all the time and all that, and not pay attention to the walls of the Matrix. This is essentially that. Whenever I would kind of just go off and do my own thing, let's go out and drink, let's go out and do this. And I'm like, all right, why not? Now, what did they get out of it? It was more like my shame, my embarrassment, my flogging. I was seeing certain things they felt I shouldn't, therefore, let's distract him by sheer embarrassment. And no one seems to know my name without knowing the other side of the yin and yang now. And that seems to be the legacy. And legacy to them is extremely important. Know thy name. Know my name, know your name. They don't want your name to be heard or seen, like in the old Viking sagas. They do not want this. They know power to name. They know the way if they can't Akhenaten you and wipe you from history, they smear it. They blackmail all of us. I could have drawn that out for a long time. Some other actors, and I won't mention their names, actually chose to have it keep silent. Oh, I'll keep paying you. I'll keep doing this. The payment, the money is nothing. It's servitude of. It's the fear you're giving back to them. I didn't go that route. He says, "Homie, don't play that." I agree. I didn't do that. Yeah, I took the embarrassment, but it smeared my name. They see that as ultimately important. They want to smear their feces across history.
So for you, it was just a matter of the fact that, you got your flogging and realized that at any moment they can take anyone and smear them and cause problems.
Yep.
Obviously deny you work.
Most
or
definitely
anything,
they did,
or
yes.
anything like that, or give you work. So what my
This town ain't big enough for the two of us, kind of thing. Yes.
well, so my question again, you would know from your perspective now versus when you were alive,
Mm-hmm.
because my question is really revolving about when they bring handlers in or whatever. Again, the one thing that you mentioned before is there were a lot of parties, get-togethers and things like that would happen.
Would seem innocent, but no, sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
But then there's a line, don't you think, or I'm asking, I don't know. So there is a line where they actively then get a celebrity or whomever involved in the process of more ritualistic, let's just say, abuse, actually bringing innocence in to be abused.
Yes.
Can you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you did not do that.
No.
So I guess what
Not
I'm
at all.
saying is that because you didn't go down that road with them, I'm assuming that was what
That was the
pissed them
tipping
off
point. That was the tipping point.
to really
Yes.
for them to flog you, because
Yes.
you really weren't, I guess, bringing the goods to them
Yeah.
for them to, because I'm assuming that is what really occurs with
Oh
these
yes.
folks.
Oh yeah. If you don't give them what they want, this is the kind of crap that happens. Their ambitions are so great, and their ego is so great, and their narcissism is so great. They don't want to be slighted. They don't want to be seen doing what they're doing, but yet they do. They want to advertise themselves, but they know if they don't fade into the background, they're going to get caught. But they funnel that narcissism into flogging and beating those that want to step on their toes, or at the very least see what they are. I saw what they were, but I also wanted to continue being, hey, but at the same time, I knew somewhere something was going to end. But knowing and doing are completely different things. Knowing in your heart of hearts and your intuitive side, something's up, is different than what your brain and your advices are telling you. These are two completely separate concepts crammed into the same form. You would say an is and is not and is a paradox. You would say this, he would say this. And I couldn't agree more. I, as the man, never wanted any form of addiction. Neither did Michael. Neither did others. But here we are. They knew that was a weakness. They know it. Like you saw your Russell Brand case. Same difference. So there's other things going on there, but I will not smear people through the mud. That's not why I'm here. I wished to talk about myself, and then the shame was that I could no longer work in the industry, but I could not I could not refute, or I could not talk about it because it was too hush hush to do so. Oh, it's embarrassing to do so. And if I had tried to even say anything about what I saw, they would just bring up, oh, he masturbated in a public theater. They would just continue on and on. They should talk, by the way. Anything I did was dull in comparison to what they've done. They are some of the most evil creatures on the planet.
Well, I think that's my point, is that, again, comparatively, you didn't get, let's call it really down and dirty and nasty and evil like others were, around you, although they did compromise you. You were compromised.
Oh, yes, yes.
But
I fully agree with that. Yeah.
Right. And so I guess from your perspective where you are now, looking at things, again, I hate to say it, it's everywhere. It's in business and politics.
Oh,
and
yes.
even it sounds like the education.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, and entertainment. It's interwoven into all of these different aspects of our lives where you talk about the high hierarchy and making it in these companies. And I'd like for you to tell me I'm wrong or that it's changing where, the tops of these are all a lot of them are a part of these horrific religious evil,
Yes.
components, which I think is
Oh,
leading
yes.
people now. It's gotten to a place where people are feeling, oh my God, there's so much evil in this world. And these industries just don't care about regular humans anymore. And so my part of me is like, well, you have to be willing to see that and understand that to put your energies for it stopping. But is it just coming out and they're hiding it better a different way? We're going to think that it's dealt with when it's not.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly it. A tiger is now changing their stripes, but a tiger can only hide their true stripes for so long. If you coat orange paint over a tiger's stripes, yes, they're an orange cat for a little while, but eventually it rains and washes that paint away. And that tiger is still there. It is still a predator. It is still hunting. This is what I compare it to because they're hunters. They run your resources down. They're predators, but they are narcissists to the core. They are ancient. They are not cohesive. They have demigods that battle with one another. He saw this today, in fact. And they have altars all over the place. And I mean actual stone altars, edifices everywhere. They don't have eyes everywhere. They have eyes on each other. You see how politicians and the political groups only have eyes for each other? That should tell you something. And they aren't, they're so egocentric, narcissistic that they only care about one thing, going after each other, and each of the demigods up the ladder are kicking the other one in the nuts because their hedge betting has gone on for millennia, and they're dealing with their human worshippers underneath them. And before I detach and let Diana in this, I will say one thing to them, and I know they can hear me through this big glowing box here. You project narcissism. You project your darkness. You project the fact people like Michael touched kids. You got him this way, and I say only one line to you. I know you are, but what am I? And that is not you.
So again, I thank you. So I have to end this, with just one curiosity question, because it is difficult to understand that this would be able to continue on the way it's continuing on as we become a pre-galactic society, that things have to change. So from your perspective, am I right to say that, or is somehow this going to be allowed?
Allowed. That's too defining of a term. People think, oh, this is allowed. It's about flows and ebbs and flows. Yes, spirit is stopping these things as best it can. But as he would describe, as you're dealing with two completely different operating systems, you have Earth's plane or Midgard. You have the spirit world, which is an omniversal, super omniversal type of situation. There needs to be a translation in between, a medium. What you call mediums. But there also has to be those that conduct the change on behalf of spirit, their oversoul, why they've come into this dimension.
Mhm.
This is where the change begins, because then it echoes back up into eternity, you see, and then back down. Oh, you say up and down, but it's actually everywhere, everything all at once kind of thing. From my perspective, where I am currently, I'm speaking to you as Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. One could argue that my oversoul is probably Pee Wee's Playhouse, and I can't exactly argue with that. That's part of the library. And it will always be. Yes, Pee Wee has a book, or a chapter within a book. But the library is very ancient. Within the multiverse, it's diverse. But to say spirit allows evil, yes, you could say this, because it is actually the ebbs and flows of that change and the rebalancing thereof. But as Pee-wee, as I did that character, my objective was to make people laugh. Like your Isaac. He said, he who laughs. All right. What the heck? That's of course. People laugh to this day. But what do they always think about the other thing? But they still laugh at the thing and have joyful thoughts of their childhood, and or if they're a parent, seeing a child growing up seeing that show, Pee-wee's Playhouse. One of the reasons I originally came in was to thwart to these two things. I came in to experience this. So to say, to allow, no, that is too harsh. It is the transmuting and changing thereof by experiencing that objective. Michael would argue the same thing, even though Spirit didn't necessarily completely agree, and other Oversouls didn't exactly concur with the way he did it. This is why they knew he would get infected by it. They were more concerned for his sanity than anything else. I took the slightly easier route and just basically, instead of diddling others, I diddled myself. Easier route. Some may call me a wuss for this. Some may go, ooh, you dodged a bullet. But it still made a change. It still left the mark of laughter. And it still shed light on this demigod worship. Maybe not then, but it is approaching in the now. This is why I approached him to begin with. And this is why Michael showed up. This is why Diana is around as well.
So, no, so I understand, what you're saying about, again, the awareness of it all, having these conversations for the awareness. I guess what again, I'm standing here boots on the ground. I'm not from a different perspective right now, that it doesn't make sense to me. Now, I get that there is nasty things that happen everywhere. You do have the trading that goes on out there and all of that rotten stuff. So I understand.
This will bring light to all of that.
Yes. Right. So I understand the fact that for people to think us going into this bigger society, that again, none of it exists. That's not what I'm saying, because it does. It's a nasty business. But it's not these societies that are becoming pre-galactic, I didn't think were leading with that. It's behind the scenes. Some of it's happening, but it's not like known that the governmental systems are tied into all of that as heavily as they are here. So that's why I'm saying it seems to me there has to be some sort of shift that occurs.
Yes, there is.
That I understand that they'll be still trying to do things like pirates in the background, still trying to do this. But again, as far as right now, it's just from what everyone has said to me, all I can say is that at this current present moment in humanity, it seems that every aspect of almost every part of our lives is basically run by these horrific religious zealots worshiping demigods who are not for humanity's highest good. They are for their narcissistic other self-interest.
Yes.
But that can't be, to have that at such the extreme. There has to be better balance going into a pre-galactic society.
Oh, yes. There is better balance. There are things, they'll make you think they're more powerful than they actually are. like I said, narcissists. They will make themselves seem so great. There are actually contracts right now that are actually being revoked, even as I'm talking right now, in your time frame. Ones that aren't allowing certain factions to do anything anymore. If they get caught, well, that's all the contracts they have with Earth, and they're done. So there are things improving. And there are demigods that are taking big risks through their worshippers. There are groups taking big risks, both good and bad. And you saw that recently with your friend Isaac. There are risks being taken. You saw this with your Abena as well, when he showed up in person. There are things opening up. It is opening up. But these other beings, some of these other beings do not wish it this way. Even other galactics don't want it this way because they want to continue to commit crimes. They want free shit. Well, who doesn't? But still, if people are used to a certain way, who wants it to be fair and balanced? Not trying to promote Fox or anything. I'm just saying.
Get it? Why would they want to give up? They're not going to give up. They've been doing this for how long?
Yeah. So even if it's a good group, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But they know one day, they know as well as I do, that all good things come to an end. And it rebalances. Just like what was said in your Star Trek Picard season 2. Time does not, change does not always come in the time in which we think it should. But it does come. So yes, I can honestly say this does not stay this way forever. Will you see this within your lifetime? Yeah, at least a part of it. So, and you can choose to come back and see the rest of it. You can stand with me and watch and go, hey, and look at that and laugh at things. You know, we were looking from kind of like from afar. Like, say, if you're looking from the ground, looking up at a cloud drifting by, that's how we see from from that kind of perspective, but from the other direction, or not necessarily up, but you get the idea.
Mhm.
It's like that. Like you're gazing at that, going, all right, that's drifting on by. This is something that is drifting on by. And I cannot promise that certain things won't get rough in some areas and won't get smoother in others while it's balancing. That's only normal. But just know that society cannot circle the toilet. But this is where I must pass the torch. She has been chomping at the bit to talk, and she's going to be less forgiving than me.
Well, again, I think she may have encountered more than you did, so.
By far, far more than me. I look like a lightweight compared to her and Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
So
I appreciate you coming in and talking. And again, if you, from all of the perspective all of you guys have, to be willing to talk about this, it must be time to talk about it. That's the only thing I can say, or I don't think you would be.
See, Spirit brings this around for a reason. Just like in his session earlier, he encountered a demigod by the name of Baron Shamne. This is a Haitian demigod of the dead. Was marking someone's house because he wished to expand his territory. Odin pretty much basically gave him a swift kick to the balls. So again, Odin, though kind, is still one of these warring demigods. I'm sorry. Him and his family. They still are. They may be of a good ambition, but they are still part of the rabble, too. I'm not bashing them. I'm just saying.
No, I believe it's just kind of, for most people, even from perspective there, that's kind of like how it is. It's
Yes.
not, they're not,
Yes.
yeah.
So, I thank you all for listening to me rabble and babble on there for a moment. I will now pass this over to her. She might not talk as long as I have, but she will talk slightly harsher than I have. So, goodbye. And remember to laugh. And when I say, I know you are, but what am I? You know what I'm doing with those words? I have turned that into a spell. I bounce that back. It's like, you're rubber, I'm rubber, you are glue, whatever, bounce off me, whatever you say bounce off me and sticks to you. That's what I know you are, but what am I actually means. So just know that. You can use that even as a prayer if you want to. Don't actually pray to Pee Wee, please. Please don't do that. That's creepy.
Mhm.
All right. Goodbye. I have babbled enough. Thank you. Bye bye. Where do I begin? The tagline you have heard, he calls it a tagline. I just call it lies. He's using a fancy term meaning liar, liar, pants on fire kind of thing. Yes, I'm taking a page from you, Pee Wee, with the goofy language. Um, I have no goofiness to give right now. You were the clown. I was the princess. So, where do I begin? I'll start from the end. The crash. They blame that on the paparazzi, just like even one of the movies out there depicted somebody getting into a car crash because the paparazzi that was poking at me. They have put this in other fictional respects. People have even honored in movies, TV shows, books, everything. And I thank them for this. Wasn't the paparazzi. They were there, but they were merely handled. They weren't racing around trying to get us into a car crash. Yes and no. This was the royal family that did this because of the fact that I saw what went on, like what you know about Prince Andrew and Epstein and all that. It was all that sick shit. This is what was witnessed. Like what I mentioned in the channel to him about the boy that was trying to escape the palace. He granted that came after me, but still. Um, it is. They said, "Oh, he broke in." All this. You were seeing everything people do. It spills over into public, just like with the galactic stuff and everything. You're seeing the edges of these demigods battling. That incident was no different. Because why? Because it was a demigod that demanded that sacrifice. And that person would have rather fallen to their death than be that. So you were seeing the edge of that. It is still the outer edge of battle and war, spiritual warfare. I saw this. I went into this with my eyes not so wide open. I'll go back to the beginning. Being around Prince Charles, where do I begin? How they portray him in shows like The Crown, it wasn't that noble. He said, "Oh, I'm going to open this up as soon as I become king." Is he? Is he really? I will say, I pass near him often right now. Is he really doing this? No. Keir Starmer and them are they the big cheese? Is Prince, or I should say King Charles, is he the big cheese? They're both puppets in this. Did he get to change what he said? No. Did he write that propaganda himself? Yes, he did. I'm trying to word this so you guys don't get nailed from this. All right. As I went along within the royal hierarchy, Queen, her mum, and others, I saw the way their etiquette was, the old world royalty. Then I saw that that was not just a cover, but it was showing how old some of this demigod worship was. I came across the fact that the palace sits upon a temple. And the reason there's so many guards there, it's not just the queen, it's what lies beneath it. There are chambers under there, left and right. You hear about that with the bases and everything, the DUMBs, the deep underground military base. And there's a connection there, yes. There's a temple there underneath. That's where that boy had actually come from. was underneath. He went up to go down. From deep underneath, went up, and he couldn't find any other but the top window that he could get out. There are children trafficked there regularly. My sons, they're from two different parents. And Harry is not royalty. William is. But you see, the apple does not far fall from the tree. Harry has handlers. But do you see him often? No. There's a greater story here. Yes, they're all involved in the same crap. But Harry escaped. But did he? And I say, did he? You try to run, but you can't hide from where you came from. During the crash, when I was on the ground, there were firemen there. There were legitimately good people there, but there were those lurking in the background, telling me, showing me that they had got me, and they got pictures of it to deliver back to the royal family as proof of life, proof of death. Even on the way to the hospital, I know it's tradition that the ambulance has to stop on the way to the hospital. That's what they tried to say in the news. But they stopped because they were told to stop. Some objected. Some of the, you call them EMTs. We have a different name over there. Objected. But they said, nope. We were given an order. We have to stop. And this is how I died. They knew if they delayed long enough, time would take its course. But to joke around with a Star Wars adage, you strike me down, I become more powerful than you could imagine. I suppose that's true. I'm in an area where they can't touch me. I see what they do. I hear what they do. When Charles and I first got together, I was slightly younger and more naive. Then when I started going along and seeing what was actually being done in the background and eventually catching, going down one day, figured Charles is a rule breaker, so could I be. But I didn't realize the apple for him didn't fall far from the tree, like his father, Philip. Infidelity galore. Camilla, the whole bit, you know. I'm thinking, Matt, I don't have to follow this crap anymore. With Meghan Markle, they're trying to make her seem like, she's breaking loose like I did. No. Handler. Sorry. I know you don't want your channel mark. But the one person I can honestly say that I was mad at the most throughout this whole thing wasn't Charles, wasn't my two sons, even though my oldest is being manipulated to be a royal, groomed, you would say. The one I was mad at the most for the whole thing was someone that doesn't even have a face in society. Someone who was more the caretaker or the religious caretaker, the one that actually trafficked those children. But then, aside from the most evil fuck that was there, those that talk about allowances, the Queen and Philip all knew this was going on. They knew for a long time. Their whole lineage was based around this, with that reptilian thread that went through it. And my Spencer line, was some of that in there? Yes, and I was disgusted when I found out about this stuff. That I was related to, there's some interference, sorry. Related to some of these demigod worshipping family as well. Some of your politicians, like your George Washington, the Masonic types, people like that. That particular Kabbalist line. I didn't realize that they had actually moved me into that position to have children because I was part of those lines. When I found what was going on and that, I was disgusted. This is also why I love not just the raging infidelity. If it had been just that, I probably almost could have put up with it. Nope, like father, like son. You saw him in the Crown show where Philip was a raging adulterer. Even later on, he still was. You'd say wandering eye, but I don't count that. I count the actions, not just the eyes. I was thoroughly disgusted, wanted my sons away from this, and my grandsons, my grandkids now, George and them. Harry, did he get away from that? Sort of. Yeah, further away than the other. You'll see a turnabout in this. I'm trying to limit my language because I normally am not the kind that holds back. I can clearly see earlier today, because of my communications, there was immense blowback, and I do not wish this on you.
But then just let me ask a couple of general questions then.
Well, ask a direct one, but just know that, no, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I think you're bringing up something that I find quite interesting. First of all, that these lines, these lineages that we
Yes.
talk about, and we've talked about it, I think it's hard for people to understand how strong the genetics are. Like the genetics are really groomed to keep people and to
And it
get them
stays there.
yeah, and it really means they behave in a certain way, this type of genetics.
Royal etiquette, my ass. This is a lineage curse. Yeah.
Right,
So.
but behaviors and ways of thinking that people have a hard time understand that part of that is genetic, how you perceive things, how you think of life, that it really is this very interesting, very
Stronger than
again,
you think.
stronger than you think, really highly groomed.
This is why Michael Jackson's family was chosen, you see. Same difference, lineage.
Right. And so, and again, it's not just, oh, you're my lineage. No, you are the line that are the strongest in these characteristics that we can, mold and groom and get you to do certain things.
Yes.
And then the
People can adapt to any environment.
right. And then the genetics of who comes in to be the partner to bring in the next generation. That's not given little consideration. It truly is.
They think it out.
They think it out, and I think they genetically, what I mean, think it out and or modify, I would think, as well, whatever's going on.
Yes, yes. Also, you saw this a long time ago when you two were looking into your own history. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but some of the first things that you saw were the fact that you were selecting each other over energetics and genetics in the previous existence to this one.
Right, which was really interesting. Again, it was more of, right, people were given, where are you on a number coding and how close you are together as far as certain, genetic type of lines. I know what you're talking about. I find that kind of hard to wrap your head around, how your soul can come into I call it the DNA skin suit. And that skin suit is so highly programmed to be a certain way. I find that interesting. So you also said that in your lineage and your Spencer line, that there was some of this worshiping Kabbalistic mechanisms, but you're alluding to you growing up were not necessarily exposed to some of
No.
this. So it seems like if
Not all of us were, no.
well, that's what I'm saying. So it sounds like in some of these lines, it's like there are people appointed or going to be more involved in these ritualistic behaviors, and that becomes a part of their life, while other people aren't going to be. It's like this big family conglomerate. You're going to be a part of the ritualistic side. You aren't necessarily going to know what's going on, but you're going to play this role.
Yes, that's exactly what happened to me. They did not want me to be damaged goods, I would say. They wanted me mentally intact.
Mhm.
So they just wanted me as a breeder, you see.
So that's interesting. You should say that mentally intact, because one of the things, again, I think, for some, I am like, when I look at these lines, I'm like, I feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for you, because again, you're not, some are not necessarily, and they won't be able to handle some of this stuff that other people seem to have the skin for to do all their lives. But I find it very interesting. Again, one of the reasons why we know this, we really try to explain out what's going on, because we don't like to throw everybody under the bus.
Mm.
And, and if by chance a line, like we say, is there, or a branch of the tree is kind of showing more immunity to certain behaviors, and you can't be brought into being, you just eliminated.
Yeah.
Your branch is cut off.
You see, they see you're understanding. This is exactly what happened.
Right. And so we've been, kind of speaking about that for years. And so it's a very complicated story. And one of the things we were saying, that in order to bring balance to some of these lines, that there has to be less interbreeding and more,
Interbreeding.
right? And more just regular breeding to level off some of these hardcore personalities. And hopefully that will happen, down the road. For some of them, I think some of them, they're going to be still tight knit, and they're still going to be pretending that they're good, like I said, when they're pirates in the background. So I wish I could say that they're all going to, I don't believe it. I think that, again, you're going to have some of that underbelly still happening, but hopefully society will recognize it and have less of it being those that are in power and control over humanity in
Oh
general.
yes, in breeding, you said it best. Some of your no, not to bash your Appalachia or anything like that. Even some of your biggest backwards inbred whatever stereotype you can think of doesn't hold a candle to the royal family in this respect.
Right. And so first of all, like we've said plenty of times, in order to get through a controversy, they will be happy to throw some people under the bus. So the brother of the king right now is being thrown under the bus as if he was the only rotten one.
Nope.
Not true. But they're going to sacrifice him. And he seems to be taking it on the chin. I hate to say this, but he's like taking it on the chin
He
for them.
drew the short straw.
Right, but it's really kind of interesting, because it's like, what's really going on in the background? Because
He got voted. Let's just say you are the weakest link. Goodbye. It's like that because of the fact that they know at any given time you're going to draw the short straw. It's just like what you were talking about the Christ in that other conversation. I was hearing you when you were talking about this, where the children, even that of senators, they would still get the short straw drawn. No one was immune to this. It's the same thing. Andrew drew the short straw.
Right. And so again, because he was publicly, brought out into the public, and so basically he had to now take it on the chin, basically. But it's not that things have necessarily gone anywhere.
No.
So it's interesting, because I do remember there were certain, you were brave. You wanted some of this information to get out.
Yes.
You did interviews and you did things, leaked things, and I'm sure you had to have known, even alive, that they were after you. You had to have known.
They were all the time. Even the regular press, paparazzi, those are the lower level parasites, sometimes. And even the innocent ones that just wanted to talk with me. They knew they could take innocent ones and aim them in my direction too. Just like you encounter ghosts, like you talk about tracker ghosts. They'll take innocents, tag them, and throw them like a Trojan. Some of these press were Trojans. A lot of them were Trojans, actually. But then you have the paparazzi, which they were scum at the time, no doubt. But they were patsies too. They were being used, and they still are being used in the U.S. and in Great Britain. But I never got a moment's peace after I left or during. Especially after I left Charles, because people had a fantasy in their head about what royalty actually is, what the royals actually do, like that Lord's song, oh, let me live that fantasy. That's what people think. That's from a 15-year-old's perspective, but that's what people think. They grow up thinking that this is cool. Why would you walk away from something like that? It's evil. That's why I did.
Right. So again, you at the time, I'm even prior to the divorce,
Mhm.
it was hard. You did not have a poker face. You had a hard
No,
time showing how you felt about things. And
fully
obviously,
disgusted.
right. Obviously, you had great joy with your sons. You
Mhm.
loved them
Oh,
dearly.
of course, I love them dearly, but William is starting to.
Well, it's hard to overcome that now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so you look even at the
Yeah.
grandchildren now, and what is their life being set up for? And you just have to hope for the best.
Mhm.
But I think yeah, you did not have a poker face. I think you were quoted at times, or you said in an interview once that you knew you would never be queen.
Yeah. Oh, of course, I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
For one, the responsibility, even if it was like an actual lordship, and in charge, it's too much of a responsibility. And then, actually, more firstly, that's secondarily. Firstly, I didn't want to be around any of this. If when you saw me getting thoroughly disgusted, it wasn't just at the etiquette. They like to say it's about the etiquette, or Meghan Markle says it's about the etiquette. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, I could get over that if that was the case. The prim, the proper, I could get over that. What I can't get over is what the underbelly. Well, you say underbelly. That's how his brain's translating what I'm saying. The underground. That I can never abide. This is what you saw. I did not make an attempt to hide it because I knew people would be focusing on my face
Right.
and my eyes, and
Just
even though I
deep,
couldn't say it.
profound sadness.
Yes.
I mean, it was unbelievable sometimes, especially when you did that picture in front of that Taj Mahal. That probably was that was an incredible picture again, and everyone is just. I think that picture says it all.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? So you really tried to get some of that message out. I have to ask you honestly though, because of all of this and all the strain that you were under,
Mhm.
did you feel you were not going to make it to old age? Did you really feel?
I knew. I knew. Deep down, I knew. I absolutely knew. 36, that's as far as I got.
Mhm.
He's considerably older than I was. I knew that I was not going to be elderly. And I was okay with that. Because now, as me now, the plan was, again, like what Pee Wee there was saying, was to dredge some of this up. This is how the change begins. You have to have an avatar walking the earth to do it. But me as Diana, this still upsets me. Spirit can still be upset at these things. It's not an allowance. I hear people every day angry with Spirit as to why did you allow these things. As Paul said, it's you're here to actually make these changes and dredge this up to affect that balance. That's what it is, no matter what form it takes. Destruction or peace. There's change. What sometimes looks like complete devastation is that being dredged up and rebalanced. Even though it's an old Hindu proverb or old Hindu adage or idea, this still holds. No matter what the demigod corruption is in any of the religions, certain things still hold, and that's one of them.
Right. So I think again, especially since you're passing over and looking at how things are right now, that I think a lot of people are thinking of you and your time with them and that picture at the Taj Mahal
Yeah.
and all of they're thinking about it now going, oh my God, what was really going on? Because
Yeah.
I don't think as many people are fooled with the whole, brother being cast out thing that they think he was like I don't think most people,
No.
with everything going on, with what's being dredged up, with all of this underbelly that's used in the political world and other world where people are blackmailed to do whatever. I don't think I think more people are to themselves going, he's just the sacrificial lamb right
The pot
now.
calling the kettle black are, I know you are, but what am I? They're
Right,
so
I
yeah.
think more people actually know that and are unwilling, as in past people were like, okay, this must have been it. Now I'm going to trust things again. I think there's been a part of society that I don't trust anymore. I know the game plan. I know what you tend to do, and I'm going to keep watching and keep pointing things out because, I wish I could say that you've been reformed, but I don't believe you can be.
No,
kind of situation.
there's some things, like with your Adolf Hitlers and with your Stalins and people or creatures like that. I shouldn't say people. Some were soulless demons that came in to cause just chaos.
Mhm.
Some were just consciousnesses. They weren't souls or oversouls. Some people say, why is this to this explosive level when it was fine before that? Because those were agents of chaos causing problems. Now the rest of you are coming in to fix the devastation that was caused there. Like I said, there is devastation, destruction that is the dredging up of things like that to give it, present it to the public and level it.
Mhm.
But why did it have to be leveled to begin with? Because some evil fuck came in and fucked up the planet. Like Hitler. That was not a soul. That was a demon. That was an agent of chaos. So if you're saying, creator, why? This is why. How can I put this? It's a spiritual war going on, and some souls are here to repair some of the damage of history.
And just walking there, doing what you're doing, whether you realize it or not, the energies of all of that and what you're doing is making an impact to help with whatever. I think that's one key thing too, because people think unless I am the princess myself and have such a wide audience watching me that I don't really matter. And I'm like, well, no, that's not true. Although I get why negativity would want you to feel that way.
Yes, it's like he compares it now to that superhero show Powerless. When it was on, the ordinary humans were considered powerless and you had to wait for superheroes to do things like Batman and Superman. Not true. They want you to think if you're not royalty, you're not cool. You're not in the in crowd, or you call it the cool kids, or smoking on Smoker's Corner, or the canon, or whatever you want to call it. Now with my case, I used the title to irritate the shit out of the royal family.
I think a lot of people pick that up, especially at the end, the People's Princess. Oh, and you know what
it was a branding, and they hated my guts for it.
Right, because even though they took your title, it meant nothing to anybody. You were still that.
Or they took the title, I used it, I branded it, and the public branded it, and they would have gone after them. They would have filleted the royal family if they had tried to publicly shame and retract over it. They knew they couldn't touch me that way. They had to do it secretively in a friggin' underpass.
Right.
In the middle of the night.
Right.
So that's how cowardly they are. They didn't dare do it in the public. The public would have burned the palace down. So when you become a great, I shouldn't say great, a big public figure like that, no, it's a double-edged sword. That happened with Michael Jackson too. Publicly beloved, but he had the contract that which pushed him ahead of the line. But there are people that could see the goodness there. The same would happen to me. They knew the public would turn on him in 2 seconds if they knew what happened underneath that palace.
So it's an interesting thing you brought up the contract again, because you guys, it's not about signing a contract. You're just born into the lineage, and that's the
that too is a contract. It's a
right.
It's a jinn curse, is what it is.
Yeah.
And interlocked into a curse that started 2,000-3,000 years ago.
Right.
And this it's not much more complicated than vows, promises, contracts, and those that defy contracts get killed. That's basically, it was never any more complex than
right.
that.
So again, the drama, the day-to-day, drama that's being captured in the news regarding your lineage and descendants, it really is just drama, because all they're doing is trying to shore up the true line. You know what I mean? And not make other things potentially public. But, so it's just, again, it's just a theater of puppets with the same, same players that are the same players in high business, the same, and anything you could think of, the high players, it's still the same players.
Same shit, different day, you Americans would say.
Right.
Basically, we have a slightly more more sophisticated sounding phrase, but more crude. You have that pearls before swine phrase, but swine doesn't even befit them. That's defaming swine. So farm animals actually have a soul. So you can't fit it to that. This, if I could categorize them in one word, evil. This is where I'm at. Did I take great pleasure in fussing with them? Oh God, yes. Even under normal circumstances with the etiquette and everything, it would be funny to do that. In this case, I stayed as far away from them as possible and fussed with them. But again, with Dodi Fayed, he's around, but he's not really wanting to talk. Henry's around too, but they're not really wanting to talk this way. The only thing that they would relay here is, how can I put it? Like what Paul said about vices.
Mhm.
This was more about, some of it was about love, but it was about truth too. And those two were more freedom fighters. They were more soldiers in a more energetic cause.
Mhm.
And soldiers also in getting helping children and such, more so than you know.
Mhm.
The driver, was he drunk? No, he was not. Henry was not drunk. Nobody was drunk. We were actually trying to get the truth out there about what happened. We were actually trying in the middle of the night to get to a place to deliver some evidence to people.
So I'm just going to ask you because this comes up a bit.
I can't name the people because they're still in operation, but
Right, but I am curious. Do you speak with other channelers?
sometimes yes.
Okay.
Michael, he's getting a little leery of it because they don't perceive things the same way. I mean, that's the beauty of people. They have different perceptions, perspectives, and interpretations.
Mhm.
But you guys are more like, just put it out there. And there's no narrative here. So yes, I go to other channels.
No, I think that's fine because again, we don't downplay anybody because we do have the understanding that when any challenge that brings through anything is going to bring it through the lens that they currently have, as you're saying, the perspective that it's going to come through where the person is, and it will be interpreted from where the person is, and that's just how it works. It's not a wrong or a right. It's just how
no.
it is.
Oh, that's exactly how it is. There's actually very few that can actually do it this way, legitly.
Well, again, as we've been trying to encourage people, try to understand that. And if you want to be able to bring through certain information, our perspective doing all of this is we just want to know what is. We're not going to try and have this lens of a shade. Now, I'm sure we're not perfect. I'm sure that we do because there's a lot that we don't know.
Oh, of
But
course.
it helps if you go at it with, I'm going to, as we say, deny the known and basically say, how can I just bring through the information that may even shock me, that's different or whatever, but it may be information that humanity needs to know in order to grow and expand more.
Yes, we planted this seed, you see.
Right, and like I said before, that it must be okay to have these conversations, or you guys would not put anybody you're not there to put people's head through a chopping block.
Oh yeah, I have a lot more knowledge that can wait for a different day. But,
right, exactly what I'm saying. So it's meant to start to come out in these conversations to give context to the bigger perspective of what's going on.
I'll guide you to it when the timing is correct.
So, but again, I don't begrudge any other channeler because again, I am sure that, I get it. Sometimes you're going to want to go and it's just going to be talking to the people's princess and all the princessy things and all the things I get it. You know what I mean? And all of those different pieces of the pie of you I'm sure, you know what I mean? This is one aspect of you in your life and what you were exposed to, but it's not all of the pieces. And
No.
so I'm sure that when you talk to some people, you're talking about a different piece of the pie, that hopefully they get that information out that you're perfectly fine with.
Mhm.
So it's just the stories are just a little bit more complicated.
Compartmentalization in this way, and if you talk to Dodie and Henry there, they would say the same thing. They were actually part of a um, an organization that's trying to bring this out. Not unlike your Mozen that you speak about, that he has said he thought that's who I was referring to. No, not everybody is them, but they can do the same job.
And
So-
again, and they may have passed, but there's still others carrying that torch.
Oh, there's many others carrying that torch.
Yeah.
So yes, we were just trying. It was more like I was defecting to them. You see,
Mhm.
and they unfortunately got in the crosshairs.
Right.
But they were doing the right thing.
But it did, what they were working on did not get snuffed out.
No, not
So,
at all.
I mean, it's again, there were other,
They knew they were at risk for creating a martyr when they killed me. They knew it.
Right,
Uh,
right. And I think, again, people are looking back in hindsight upon your life with all the recent events and things that were coming out now
mhm.
and thinking, what was she really sad about?
Mm.
What was it really? Was it just because, I'm sure in people's mind, they go, well, infidelity is a part of that lifestyle. Most people are
That was
realizing
nothing. If
that.
it had been that, I could have gotten over it.
Right. And that's what I think people are maybe coming to the realization to. It probably wasn't that, because that was really almost like everyone knew that it was rare to see loyalty, because it was almost a business agreement coming together. And so people see that in high business or whatever, and it's kind of a partnership that you hope is based on that fairy tale, but it's usually a lot more complicated than
It's
that.
never been that. That is a fictitious idea that, oh, yes, people write in storybooks, or they write, like, say, your shows like He-Man, where there's a space king named Brandor, or there's like a princess and a prince that come together, like in Cinderella. This is the fictitious side.
Right.
Your Disney is responsible for some of this, and Michael Jackson was talking to him a little bit about Disney and some of the contracts there too. It's the same thing. It's the same shit, different day. Who's the one that came up with the fantasy ideas for some of this?
Mhm.
Them. Yes, some of it was imagination, like they like to say in those documentaries, but some of it was a Kabbalist narrative that was being put in place. That's getting an overhaul as I'm talking, by the way. Again, I know you don't like naming names. He wanted to see if he could talk to Walt Disney himself, and Spirit immediately chimed in with no,
Mhm.
because this.
Right.
So he's up there with Werner von Braun and them.
Right.
Nazi connection. No, 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 no. And does he have his head in a jar? No, he does not.
Mhm.
So I just want to point that out. He is as passed on as I am. The head in the jar thing was just one of those fantasy stories that was written to distract people.
Mhm.
Frozen in a jar. No, no, it doesn't work that way. So no.
But the one thing I can say, I guess, this is now from my perspective in hindsight looking back, is that it seems to me yes, you saw some things, but to me,
Mhm.
my pondering is, was there actually something else that made you more of a threat? Because the one thing that you would do, you weren't just the people's princess there. You were the people's princess around the world. And you were unifying human beings in a way that was bringing out human condition and problems. And in a very positive way, you have the ability to unify people, to be more human, to be more caring, to do all of this. And that is what they
Yes.
could not allow.
They couldn't allow that because they couldn't allow a unity to take place.
Right.
And that's what was going on. And I could clearly see that too. I could clearly see the Kabbalists they wanted to remain in control and not want to form a unity.
Right.
I mean, yes, were they subjugating people, like I said before, and I couldn't abide, yes, but I also could not abide a upper class and a lower class.
Right.
So, like you say, we're all one, of course. It was the main premise. One of the things I came in to do, I'm showing him images in his head now of when I was in Africa and the conditions there. People always, scoff at, the starving children of Ethiopia and Africa and all that. And I'm not trying to make a public service announcement or anything, but this is the reason I got involved in these things is because I knew if I could get the royal rallying cry around people that the royalties' days were numbered. I knew that if the people got behind an idea, even if I had to use myself, not in a narcissistic way or an egocentric way, but to get to be like a figurehead, if I could point them in the right direction, I could stop the other thing.
Right,
They knew that if I could unify and help here, I could get the people to stop the rest of it.
right, because that energetic ball would be rolling.
It
And
would
you're
be
talking
rolling.
about the caring of others and this, that, the other is a frequency vibration
Yes.
that could not then be stopped. And I think to me, that no matter what would have been a reason why your days were numbered. And
Mhm.
again, and since that occurred to you,
Mhm.
if you haven't noticed, no one is getting out of that family to be able to do such a thing like that again.
Oh no. Oh
So-
no. They took a huge risk doing that to me. I angered them and shamed them to such an extent that basically it was my form of gaslighting them.
Mhm.
I didn't exactly think they were going to do things that way. I did and I didn't. You see, the human self didn't know exactly where or when, just knew that or the how. I just knew that it would happen.
Right,
I did not know I knew who, I didn't know how, and I didn't know what or where. I just knew that.
right.
And I knew my days were numbered, but what did I do? Gave them the biggest middle finger and the biggest mooning that you could ever give them.
But again, now they hide behind their, threat of security and security for everybody or whatever. To
They're afraid.
say, well, they are, but you will not see a great unifier come from there again.
No.
It's like they learned their lesson with you. And so you're not going to hear any unifying cry
Oh,
about
no.
any subject matter. They kept zipped because they realized that they cannot have, in a positive way, a great unifier again. They're
No.
just going to now hide in the background, doing their thing, doing their nasties, and this, that, and the other, because they did not realize how close they were
To annihilation.
to annihilation.
They came very close to
Because
annihilation.
you were a great positive unifier and that energetic ball was going.
I give credit to those that I was around for realizing this, and they knew even if I didn't tell them about what they were up to,
Mhm.
that eventually that wheel would come around. When people would start to unify, where would they look? To their leadership. Where would they go? To the palace. They were so egocentric. They were so dumb in this respect and so narcissistic that they couldn't imagine people that wouldn't want that level of power, that they wouldn't want it. They, even back in ancient times, it was the same way. Leaders offing each other, and they still do this. Kind of like that. This town ain't big enough for the two of us, kind of thing. And they can't imagine that nobody wouldn't want that level of power. Some people are not interested in it; they're just interested in peace. They could not handle this. What was it? Oh, excuse. There is a separate energy approaching. Ah, ah. No, hang on. I believe I have to take my leave then because I am starting to incur blowback. So I do apologize for that.
No, thank you for this conversation.
Yes, he thought it was going to be. They were trying to disguise themselves as Bob Marley, and no, Bob Marley is actually he stays in some of his circles. He tends to rarely talk to
Right.
channelers. So he felt the distinctive push on his chest Because when he said peace, he's considered to be a peacemaker. If he chooses to talk one of these days, that's on him. But I will end with this. Just know the great unifier, as you call it, is you. You choose whether you want to see these narratives continue, like your WWE wrestling. Keep it in fiction like that. You choose whether you look at the theater puppets or you turn the television off. Though it is smart to learn about what's going on, the news isn't going to tell you. You have to keep eyes open at all times. You are that change. As Gandhi said, but don't even rely on people like him or me, even though there were some secrets of his that he probably wouldn't want me talking about. He can attest to that at some point. If he does. He doesn't go to really any channelers, though. If he does, that's on him again. But this, I must say, you and also people of England right now, you are on the verge of a unity. You're also on the verge of knowing who the face of your enemy actually is. Just know this. Don't look to any leaders for help. Look to your own heart for help. But if you must find an outside source, that is each other. That's all I will say currently. So, or I will incur even more upon them. So, I thank you for allowing me to continue to indulge and for you continuing to indulge my speech. So, his energy is having a hard time carrying me at the moment. So, I thank you all. All right. That was interesting. Yeah, this was earlier today. I was looking at a video a friend sent me that had to do with Michael Jackson talking to another channeler briefly, and then it was Diana coming in briefly. And then I just knew when I heard her name and then I saw the thing about Pee Wee earlier, or Pee Wee came in, I'm going, you're talking about the same subject. It doesn't matter whether you got hey or the other thing, it's the same subject. So I was laughing when I heard this earlier, but then I also realized he was also buffering some pre-blowback. I got hit pretty brutally mentally earlier. I mean, really bad. And I'm thinking, what in the holy hell is this for? I figured it's things I've been looking into, videos I've been doing, boosting the way people see our information. And that's still true, but not like this. And what he was doing, trying to get me to laugh, is trying to keep my frequency up so that I created my own shield against it, is what he was trying to do. I kept hearing, I know you are, but what am I? And I was wondering why he kept saying that. He was using the spell to reflect it back, is what he was doing. He was putting the mirror up. He was also telling me, put a mirror up. You're under attack, put a mirror up. And they figured Pee Wee was going to be the person to tell me that. So if you hear that in your head, it could be him, but just know that's what that means. Mirror back. And what was also being made reference to with the genetics, for context, years ago we found out in a previous life that we were around Nazis, but they also some of them had a tendency to measure things by genetic frequency values. And some of the aliens had taught them some of this. And you see that in that goofy movie, Iron Sky, where the one commandant's doing that. I wouldn't recommend that to my worst enemy, that movie, but they show it in there in the very beginning. That's about as far as you should go, about 20 minutes into it, and you should be done. But not even that. But this was a past life of ours too. So what she said is true about the genetics having a frequency harmony, that now these royals think that this is a harmony that they have to keep intact, just like the Nazis did with the master race. And none of it's true, except for the frequency harmonics. But for them, it's falling apart because she said inbred, but one could say the Martian Germans and what I experienced in the SSP, seeing them hiding behind a wall because they were scared of a disease like this, that's not exactly a master race. That's somebody who's scared that they've lost something and they need to send the slaves in to do the thing. They're not exactly stable. So therefore, it needs to be reintegrated properly, is what was also being said. That all that needs to level, and it needs to just become the human race again, and not some demigod worshippers, master race, none of those things. So the unity. So Joanna, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, this was interesting. Energetically, I can say that was pretty taxing, I will say. And it wasn't because of Paul Rubens or Diana at all. It was what was pushing on them via me, knowing that they could get to them and upset them. And especially Diana, not just you, Paul. Paul, you know, of course, you said you were only seeing the little thing. They were aiming at her, more so, believe it or not. So they didn't want her to have a voice. Just like with Michael Jackson and Elvis, they didn't want them to have a voice at all. So this is why they're doing this miscellaneous type talking where they're all using myself as the mouthpiece. And that's not in an egocentric way. If somebody calls me out on that, that is because of the mediumship of the ability to translate spirit. That, like what they were saying, the middle ground, Midgard. So I think I'm done at this point. So I will now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.
I just realized that I didn't give the affirmation blessing at the end. And it was simply this by Paul Rubens. I know you are. I know... Oh, actually, here it is. Cut. I just realized I just forgot to give the affirmation and blessing at the end. And this one was by Paul Rubens. And it simply goes, I know what you are, but what am I? Paul Rubens. And again, reflecting back. That's actually a very excellent spell, guys. I have to say, I never thought in a million years that would have been a spell to protect or deflect or reflect back. That's as simple as that. And you do something stupid with laughter, like I did to the Nazi commandant, the Martian-German commandant, and his lieutenant. I called them Hans and Franz. With laughter, come on. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than I know what you are, but what am I? And so we'll just leave it at that. And I now close this circle with true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So it is 7:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, November 21st, 2025. Thank you. Oh, I do want to say with the Pee Wee thing, I had this synchronicity with him one time where there was this GIF that Isaac put out there on a conference chat with Bjorn and Susan, and where there was this GIF of Pee Wee with the word of the day thing, and he'd bring the sign up, and I thought that was actually funny. And one of him with Santa Claus, where Santa Claus was, I know what you are, but what am I? But the original phrase, though, interestingly enough, was I know you are, but what am I? But so he added the word what in there, which is telling, is I know what you are, meaning evil, but what am I? Not you. So I found that, you see the word changing a little bit, the wordsmithing. So I find that interesting. He added the word what in there. I know what you are, but what am I? Not you. So that's a good addition to the whole thing. The mirroring, that's what the what does. That's all in the wordplay, all in the wordsmithing, Shakespeareing your way through it, and not the Thomas kind either. For people that know, they know. I'm not going to bring it up anymore. So if they don't, they don't. So mirroring with this, perfect. Great. So it is 8:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, November 21st, 2025. Thank you. Okay, I was told recently that Blippi is like the new Pee Wee. Miss Rachel's more the new Mr. Rogers, and that happens to be true. I thought it was funny when one of Isaac's relatives, I called her Blippi instead of Bippy, which is her name. That's I believe his niece. And he just busted out laughing. That was before I knew what Blippi was. And Blippi, go look it up. I used to say it's what nightmares are made of, but still it helps little kids. Miss Rachel is more like the Mr. Rogers. And I've communicated with Mr. Rogers. Maybe he'll come through at some point. Again, I did a channel from him at some point. That's an affirmation blessing. He really wasn't interested in doing anything else. So some are interested, some aren't. You just get a little blip from him every now and again. But Blippi, yeah, he created a corporation bought. He has franchise. So there's several Blippis. There's like at least 6 or 8 of them now, because the first guy couldn't do all of it. Mr. Rogers was just himself. Pee Wee was just himself. He didn't have a big franchise other than historical memory. No. So yeah, little thing on that's more the new regurgitation of Pee Wee, but it's more, hey, instead of, hey, but Miss Rachel is like, hey, yes, and has this high voice, but Mr. Roger was just more of the calmer, and it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood kind of thing. It was kind of a yin and yang, but it's the same purpose, and it's still for good. So let me see here. It is 12:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. Thank you.